want to welcome each of you back to the Dang Right, a Melissa football podcast with Coach Nally. I'm your host, Coach Nally. I want to thank Mr. Kramen and the duo of Max and Shipp for putting on this podcast. Max and Shipp are like the duo of Han Solo and Chewbacca. They can't be stopped even in a galaxy far, far away. Max and Shipp are the best. Now on to our guest. Our guest today I've known for over a decade. He's been someone that I've looked up to and has been a mentor to me. The main man here at Melissa ISD, the one that signs the check. It's the one and only Mr. Keith Murphy. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Murphy.
Coach, we're glad to be here. And I think
Dang right.
you're kind of freaking me out down there with that. Like, I think you're working on that sexy voice. Yeah, it's kind of freaking me out. So.
Somebody told me I have a face for radio, so I do think, Mr. Murphy, that it's the one of the God's gifts to me is my voice. At least that's what my wife tells me. All right, Mr. Murphy. First question we always ask. Mr. Murphy, give us the story of Keith Evans Murphy.
Well, there's not a lot to tell, except for I'm getting older, so at least I'm still writing chapters, and I'm grateful for that at my age. But, I went to Grand Prairie schools and grew up. My mom and dad were both educators. My dad was an athletic director and had a pretty successful uncle as a coach. And then my dad had 10 brothers and sisters. My mom had a sister, small family. But at the end of the day, I was raised in public schools, and I love public schools. And struggled as a student a little bit and had a lot of teachers that supported me, found my way in that. And then I found the athletics, sang in the choir too. That's kind of a quiet secret about me. I sang at my weddings the last time I ever sang.
Oh, man, I hope there's tape of that.
Yeah, she laughed at me, man.
I hope that's tape of that.
No, we lost that one. Thank you.
Was it like Bruce Springsteen or something?
No, it was a little, I forgot what that guy said. Anyway, I thought it was going to be a sweet song. It's a little bit out of my league, but then I thought she was going to cry and all. She turned and she was laughing about like you are. Yeah, that wasn't it. I didn't need that. Yeah. And so I forgot my words. And
that'll kill the confidence.
Yeah, so I did that, and then I went and played a little football in college, and it paid for my way, and then I got into coaching. And I always had a passion for being on a team.
Right.
It didn't matter exactly if it was baseball or soccer. I love playing soccer. Anything that was around a team, that's always where I've kind of thrived.
Dang right. Two-time MVP soccer in my little league, by the way, Matt Nally. Okay, so you were a coach before getting into administration. So what was the best, the worst, and what do you miss the most about coaching?
Well, first of all, I thought coaching was my calling. I had my uncle that's going into the Texas High School Coaches Hall of Fame this summer. My dad was inducted into the Athletic Directors Hall of Fame a couple of years ago. And so, it's kind of a legacy thing with my family.
Right.
So I never saw myself getting out of that. But, at the end of the day, when you listen to your calling, you got to find out where you're supposed to go. And I felt like this was a direction that I needed to head. And so successful as a coach, enjoyed doing that. And then I got to move into administration, was shocked that path was laid at my feet. But as far as coaching, tough things, that final one, when you don't win a state championship, that game, you have to live with that one for a year. Until you start working again, and then you got to get all the way back again, climb that mountain. And so that's always hard. So you have to live through that. And then, exciting things. I like it when kids understand the concept of what we're trying to do. Watching kids grow, and I like to watch a third teamer getting along with a first teamer when they lift each other up. And that team bond that you get in the field house. We live in this generation where a lot of people saying, what about me?
Right.
It's mine. Right. Give me mine. And you know what? I don't miss that part of coaching. What I miss and what really excited me was building great teams, especially when we weren't supposed to win. In Van, we coached a bunch of football games with Coach Pennington Brady.
Yeah.
We used to laugh and say they were supposed to beat us. How did we do that? And so when you walk out knowing that you've done great things with kids and then they learn how to win, you take kids that have never won, people that have never been successful, and then you teach them how to win and then be successful and then how to handle that success. That's a great joy for me.
Right. I'll tell you what, though, Mr. Murphy, I've seen Todd Pennington throw a football and Todd Pennington jog around and whatnot. So if he was on your football team and y'all had success, y'all were good coaches because, woo, that boy.
Well, time out, since we're going to work on him just a minute. I listened to that last podcast. That he's dry as toast.
Yeah. Max was up there yawning the whole time.
I was like, really show some personality. But he did. That's his personality.
Yeah, no, people don't understand that. That's him. That is 100% who he is. Okay. Well, let's talk about this, Mr. Murphy. It was a crisp October night back in 1998, and you were the defensive coordinator of the Malakoff Tigers. You were playing a Frankston Indian team that was led by what people have said is an extremely handsome and superior athlete whose stats were 14 of 18, 188 yards and 2 touchdowns on that night alone. A young man that would eventually become the head coach of your Melissa Cardinal football team. What was it like game planning for such a superior athlete?
Well, as a superior athlete, there we're going to let that ego rise. We're going to let that marinate. I'll tell you what, it was shocking, really, that we were getting ready for a good Frankston football team. Yeah, that was a big deal. I mean, Frankston traditionally struggled back then, and so they were good, and we put you on a little scouting report. Kyle was on there, and I think he threw a touchdown that night. It was to one of my guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean Scrimshire. Sean, if you're listening, I still remember that you scored. You scored. It was like one of them little hot route things that you throw, and it was supposed to be a safe pass. And, of course, we watched that. and got that. No, it was a lot of fun. And I'll tell you what, it was nice to see you and meet you as an adult. And honestly, y'all had a great season. We did too. And it was a fun game. It was a tough ball game. And
yeah. You know, I'm glad that you didn't bring up that y'all knocked me out of the game, because I thought that was coming up when I was thinking about this. I was like, you know what? He's going to bring up that he knocked me out of the game. And it's true. I did get knocked out of that game. But I was just curious because, Mr. Murphy, back in those days, if you were running the spread, you know, it was kind of like you were a coward of a football team. You know, like nobody did it. And we had played Kearns before y'all, and our coaching staff had put in the spread. And we had success. I mean, Mr. Murphy, I don't know if you remember, but Kearns' receivers were still in 3-point stances.
No doubt.
It was kind of like a different deal. And then we had gotten into the spread, and we were a base wing tee in the spread. And it's always interesting to talk to old coaches who kind of went through that, because I didn't. Like when I got into coaching, the spread was already kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was just interesting to hear, like, you know, coaches like yourself, like, you know, when you game plan something, because we were in the wing tee, and most people not and things like that, and then they went to the spread. I mean, did your mentality? I'm going off script here, Mr. Murphy.
No, it's good. Let's go. Thank you for letting me talk about something. I talk about school business all the time, so it's nice to talk about something related to athletics, and for you to listen, because I think you could learn a little bit from me.
Dang right. But did it like, you know, I don't know if you can remember, that's been more than 20 years ago.
I know, I remember exactly, because at the end of the day, you know, I've coached offense and defense, was an offense coordinator, defensive coordinator, love defense. You know, offense, you guys know what's going on first. It's just fun to try to match up with you. But at the end of the day, we ran the Power I, and believed in the Power I. Came from the school of Mal Fowler. And Coach Pennington, Brady Pennington, our secondary coach, was master at running and executing. It was all about execution. And then y'all come out and start spreading the field, and it got fun, to be honest.
Right.
You know, it's more like a basketball game in my opinion. We're looking for matchups. Y'all are looking for matchups. You're looking to try to create options, and I'm trying to take options away from you. So it was a good chess match. And that night when y'all did spread the field, the truth is you go after your puppies, and we came after you. Right. Just to be real. And the goal was to try to make you have a limited number of snaps in that ball game.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, you know, if Kyle was here, Kyle DeZern, we had one play, and I remember like it was break and go. That was the play called 70 break and go, Mr. Murphy. And it was a pump fake on a hitch and then go. That was our favorite. I just remember that game. Yeah, we got beat. I just want to let everyone know, all the listeners know, we were winning the game before I got knocked out. We were winning the football game.
That was kickoff, y'all. The opening kickoff. No, I'm kidding, man. Y'all played well.
Let me ask this. I asked this question to Coach Pennington, and, you know, he gave me the lame answer of what his superpower would be. So, what would your superpower be, Mr. Murphy?
I was listening to that on the conversation when I was up at UL when I played, and we were in the car riding around in your last segment. And honestly, I mean, let's get it. He wanted to fly. I'm like, okay. Yeah, man. And I'm like, I was really thinking in my, like, come on, Todd, more. Yeah. And then y'all hit on Superman, and I thought, cool, you're getting somewhere. And then y'all, but you know, honestly, I was thinking about that. And you know, I've been 10 foot tall and bulletproof at one place in life. Dang right. As a young man, that's the way I felt. Dang right. Right. So my superpower, I really want to be a peacemaker. If I could bring peace to the people around me, it'd be a marvelous thing. And what a great power to have. And you know, I try to do that, but maybe I'm not so good at it. But you know, and I'm not just talking about world peace. I'm talking about just starting with the people that I touch daily. Right. Dang, Mr. Murphy, I was going to make a joke. I can't make a joke about that. I can't make a joke about that. You know, I would say, like, for me as a 43-year-old man, I gave you this some thought.
teleportation is probably the thing, either regeneration, but teleportation, Mr. Murphy. Like I went to a DEC this morning, or this meeting this morning in Frisco, and me and Coach Stanton went, and I'm thinking to myself, man, it'd be easy if I could just teleport there and teleport back. Seth's telling me all these things, these meetings he's got and all this stuff, and he's got to get back, and I'm thinking, man, teleportation would be cool. I think flying is just showing off.
Well, it could be necessary. If you had a skill, you might as well use it. You know what I'm saying? Don't let the gifts that God gave you go to waste. So if you're flying, you're just doing it on purpose with a purpose. It's all good.
I don't know. I just, I'm thinking that I'm disappointed in Todd with the flight thing. Okay, Mr. Murphy, you gave me my first head football coaching job. Mr. Murphy, why?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you brought it up. It really was a lot of fun, a lot of years. That's several years ago.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. It's been a long while.
Yeah, we worked, and at the end of the day, I was superintendent in Frankston, and you were from there, and there were people for you, and there were people against you. But one of the things when we went through that interview process was, you'd been on staff. It was difficult.
Yep.
I mean, Frankston is a tough place, but here's what I'll tell you. Just like Melissa, they love their kids.
Right.
And they want the best thing for their kids. So, it was easy for me. I thought you were the best thing for their kids at the time. But, going through difficult situations, I think that's when we really need to pay attention to people. And I felt like that in the fire, when things weren't hot, when things weren't going well, I thought you were steady.
I appreciate that.
You're a little cocky every now and then.
100%.
But,
100%.
And we work to keep that in check. We've done that for years. But, at the end of the day, there's something about being solid. Another reason I wanted you to have that job was because, your wife. I thought you treated her respectfully. The way a guy treats his wife is so important. And then
I agree.
You had those kids growing up, and I was a fan of, and then Mr. Morton, Miss Owens.
Yeah, heck
so
yeah.
I thought you came from good stock. So,
yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I'm pleased that we did that, and then we left, and then you came up here, and I didn't give you this job. As a matter of fact, we kind of kept our relationship a little bit of a secret. We don't hang out every day.
Right.
And, you worked on Seth's staff, and you were loyal to Seth, and then we made a transition with him. And, at the end of the day, you were his recommendation.
Right.
So you earned that, and you've done a nice job.
Well, I appreciate it. Seth is one of those guys that I look up to, and it's really weird just that transition from Frankston to here because, Seth didn't have to do what he did, and he has been somebody that, like I said, kind of a brother figure moving forth and going forward towards the job that I have now. So, but I was just always curious. My wife or my mom's always like, do you have something on Mr. Murphy? Why does he keep hiring you? So, just curious about that. So, but, for me, Brady Pennington has been such a blessing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me too.
Such just someone that I was talking to my wife last night about, we give Difference Makers Awards to people. And I was like, golly, I just feel like I could nominate him every week. But talking to him, the one thing that he really prided you on and discussed about you a lot was you could give an unbelievable pregame speech. Okay. So, so what is your best pregame speech you've ever given?
I thought about that. And first of all, kudos to Brady Pennington. He is a wonderful man, been a mentor of mine. And that's Todd's dad. And I got to coach Todd and work with Brady. And Brady, as a father, allowed me to coach Todd. And so we have a good relationship. But pregame speeches, really, they're easy. They come from the heart. And at the end of the day, I have a lot of respect for all the work that our young men put in and the fellow coaches. And, you're never guaranteed to win. Right. And in life, you're not always, you work so hard and you're not going to always get what you deserve. But I believe that, you have to prepare for those opportunities. And even if they don't present themselves, you have to be prepared. The sin in life is to not be ready and then an opportunity to present itself. Yeah.
Dang right.
So pregame speeches, they come from the heart in the moment, and it depends on the opponent. And, but I've given several, and they're passionate and they're real, and I don't cuss. I don't believe in trying to use dirty language. I must say, damn, or get after their butt. Not perfect.
Right.
But, at the end of the day, and what else is cool is that, you got kids in a position where they can respond to that.
Right.
You don't want to challenge kids that can't do something.
Right.
So when you've worked so hard with your kids and you believe in them, that's when those good words start to come out.
It's something that I was talking to Coach Katie Stinton. She was like, I don't need that. As a player, I didn't need that. Mr. Murphy, I did. I needed that as a kid. I'm not as an elite athlete as she is or the mentality that she had, but I needed someone to kind of reassure me that things are going to go well and that we were all going to do this together. So I think I'm really good at it. Okay. And like you said, cocky earlier. Oh, I can't wait. 7:17, Mr. Murphy, is when we give our pregame speech. I know it like it's right now. I cannot wait. I love giving pregame speeches. But Coach Pennington told me that you might give me a run for my money. So challenge right here, guys, on the Dang Right podcast, Mr. Murphy versus Coach Nally pregame speech this season. So
Matt, I just want to tell you is how you are on yourself. Humility is a good thing, but let me say this: I'm pretty convicted in what I do, and so you getting second wouldn't be bad. That's fine. You do good.
Well, let me ask you this, because, you played college athletics, and this is something that we discuss with our kids a lot. It's kind of like, what do you do to separate yourself? So when you were a player, what is it that you used as motivation to separate yourself from others?
My teammates. I mean, I always believed if the guy next to me on my left or my right could do it, I could do it too. And I wasn't very gifted athletically. I mean, I was a pretty good athlete, but, there was a passion and a button that went in there. Nobody had to motivate me either. I mean, my dad was a good motivator, had high expectations. But my teammates inspired me, and I always never wanted to be the weak link. So when you think that way, then what happens is you continually get better, because I played with the guys that were phenomenal. At the University of Tulsa, I played with some guys that played in the NFL.
Wow, yeah.
Another thing about, athletics in college, I can say this, and people don't give me much street cred now because I'm just a superintendent. They don't realize your background as you get older. But
the
D1, D2, NAI, it doesn't matter.
Right.
What matters is you play with 10 other guys on a team, on your unit,
right, that
are passionate about the success of your team on that night. Doesn't matter how big or little. So we need to keep that in perspective. Life's not always about a scholarship. It's about doing your best and enjoying the moment, and it's about finding those friends that you can connect with through a lifetime. And I'm old now, so I can say that, and I mean it.
Right,
so.
Right. It's crazy, like you said. Your teammates was your motivational piece, and now that we are older, for me, Mr. Murphy, as a coach, it's those coaches that are my motivational piece, and those players, but that's your whole team. And I'm sure it's the same thing with you and your administrative team and whatnot, but it's those people, all the, I'm trying to use big words here, but all the investors within the culture of your program. So, that is a big deal.
I got to stop just for a second because you're making me think while I'm listening to you. But one of the things that I challenged you with earlier is, you were always a good X and O's coach. You were going to clinics. You loved doing that, and you can go out and you can really game plan people. Right. But when you stepped into the role of head coach, one of the challenges I gave is to develop those people around you, not just your players, but your coaches. Right. And I've always said it doesn't matter what age you are. At the end of the day, you're in charge. And the way you treat your people is important to me, and I'm proud of that. But as you've progressed in your coaching life, your ability and understanding how it is important to meet the needs of your coaches and to, set expectations for them, organizing your staff without trying to hurt anyone. I mean, those are huge responsibilities that a lot of people just turn away from. And so when you answer those challenges, and I'm sitting in the stands or back away from you, and I'm watching those things, I'm really proud to see those things happen.
I appreciate it. Thank you. That really means more than you know. All right, I got a good one for you here. Okay. Would you rather have a school named after you or a holiday named after you in your honor? That's a great one.
Well, you know what? I'm just glad to have made the trip around the sun a few times. I've had a great time around them, being on Earth. It's been a good thing. And you know what? I may not get my name on a building, may not get a holiday named after me, but I do hope that when I go away that people remember me fondly. And I don't always do what's popular. Mm-hmm. I mean, just the nature of what I have to do. And I think I've lived life with a little courage and always try to do it with the best lens of what was best for my teammates, what's best for the kids in our district. And so I don't know about schools being named after me. I don't know about anything else, but I do know that I do hope people do remember me when I'm going away and remember me with a little bit of a smirk and a smile.
Dang right. Now, Mr. Murphy, I have an ego, okay? So I hope one day that you're like, hey, granddaughter, why are you not going to school today? And they say it's Matt and Nally Day. Okay. I hope mine is a school holiday. And I've thought about this because, Mr. Murphy, no kid wants to go, I'm going to Keith Murphy elementary school today. You know, every kid's like, dang right, it's Keith Murphy Day. I'm not going to school.
We get a day off.
Right. So mine is school holiday. Okay.
You're gonna have to work. You know, you've got a lot to overcome. Being a short, ball-headed, squatty coach.
I know it. Hey, I've lost some weight though.
No,
so
you
I
look
feel
good. No
I feel
kidding.
good about myself.
You look like a guard for the longest. I mean, you're a quarterback, right? I'm trying to remember. And I thought, does he play guard or does he play quarterback?
You know, I don't know if I told you this story, but we had beat Argyle, and I'm walking off first game in Coach Kennedy Stadium. I walk off, and it's like, you know, I'm Maximus in the movie Gladiator. You know, everybody's like, yeah, Coach Nally. And I walk up the hill. My wife's hugging me. My mom's hugging me and all this stuff. And I get to my granddad, and he says, dang, boy, you need to lose some weight. And I said, dang, why, Grandpa? He's like, that Jumbotron does not do you any favors.
That's Mr. Morton, right?
Yeah, that's Mr. Morton.
You know, he's honest with all of us. We love Mr. Morton. A little shout out to Mr. Morton.
But yeah, definitely for me, it'd be a school holiday. There's no doubt about it. All right. So you talk about singing. Okay. You're in the choir. You know, Mr. Murphy, there's something that, you know, a lot of people don't know about me, but except my wife and my kids, I think I'm an unbelievable singer. Okay. Like I should be singing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your go-to karaoke song?
The Chair.
Dang, man.
The Chair. And you know, I love me some Garth too, just to be really honest, but
that's a good one.
I don't know. It just depends on the mood and the vibe of the night. But, you know, and I really back down from the karaoke thing because, well, I'm singing publicly at that point and I get exposed, you know, because I hadn't worked at that. You know, when you're singing, I want to do a good job of everything I do. And it's not what it used to be.
I think, you know, for me, I want people like I think I'm a really good singer. My wife and kids say I'm horrible, but my go-to karaoke would be anything by Robert Earl Keen. I love anything.
Give me a
him.
couple of bars. I'm confused. I don't even know what he sings. Come on.
Oh man, Mr. Murphy, the road goes on forever.
How does
the road goes on forever and the party never ends. Max knows what I'm talking about, don't you, Max?
That was good, man. I'm gonna give you a little applause on that. How about a random applause for Coach Nally?
And you know, I mean, I belt him out in the shower, and you know, when I'm in the backyard, I go outside and I'll drink a cup of coffee in the morning, and I'm just going to sing. Like I'll sing Mr. Murphy as I come into the championship center. I've never gotten any applause or any like good job. You know, most people look at me weird, but I really enjoy singing. I really, really do. Let me ask you this: what brought you into education?
Oh, it was a passion forever. I mean, the obvious thing was coaching. I mean, I was going to be a coach. That's all I ever dreamed about being was a coach. That's just, my dad was a coach. I stood on the sidelines, was in the old gyms. You know, my office is an old gym. I'm still in an old gym.
Yeah.
I mean, so there was no doubt about what I was going to do. And I had a passion for being a part of a team, to be really honest. And so I had to get a degree. And I remember, you know, my GPA wasn't where it needed to be. I was getting to the end of my playing days. And I thought, wow, wait a minute, I got to get a degree. And I got a degree in English. And then physical education also. But yeah, that's what brought me here, was just knowing that I was going to be a coach.
Well, let me ask you this. So what motivated you to climb the ladder in this profession? Because at times, you know, Mr. Murphy, it's difficult to climb this ladder in this profession, but it's also like, you know, when you have someone like you that's passionate about coaching and then you go into a different arena within our profession. So I'm just curious about that motivational piece.
I'm a man of faith. So let me get that out there, and I'll be real careful with some of the things that I say, but I am a man of faith. And so at the end of the day, it wasn't about a climbing a career ladder. You know, I took jobs not because I was going to get a pay raise or because it was certain amount of A's when I was coaching. It was a buddy called and said, Murph, I need your help.
Right.
And I'd say, like, let's go. Go. And, or, you know, we went to Granbury and they were horrible. And I went there because I wanted to coach against Art Browse. And I paid for that one, just for the record. He's really good. And
yes, sir.
Yeah, I was coaching the sub-varsity game, and most head coaches, you know, they're not always there. And we were winning. He was mad. And I was like, yeah, we got this guy. Well, they ended up throwing a little Hail Mary at the end, but he came over and shook my hand. He said, Coach, you did a hell of a job. And I just was on cloud nine.
Right. Well, let me ask you this, okay? Besides athletics, what was your favorite subject in school and why?
Yeah, that's easy, man. I'm glad you asked it. I mean, I'm just going to have to show, you know, there's some depth to my character, to be honest with you, but then there are also the shallow spots that we all have. So I got my favorite subject was English, and the reason was because I had a wonderful, beautiful English teacher.
Dang right.
And I changed classes. Like when she was a sophomore, I had her in class, and then like it was regular English. And then so to get her my junior year, I had to get an honors English. And so I took an honors class. And then my senior year, she taught regular English, and I was already enrolled in honors. And I told her, I just need to be in regular. But at the end, I make a joke a little bit about that. And it, more than just being pretty, she gave me attention and helped me.
Right.
And she didn't make fun of me or expose me with the red X on the things that I didn't know. So, and I also knew that coaching, if you had an English degree, it kind of made you a little more marketable, kind of like math positions or science. So that's really what, and you know, my parents kind of instructed me in that way. So that's why I did what I did when I was teaching. And I taught for a lot of years and taught a lot of freshman and sophomore English.
You know, my English teacher was Miss Casey. When I was in school. And, you know, that's one of my regrets. I hated English with a passion. Even today, like, I don't know where to put commas at and stuff. It's embarrassing. But it's because of the fact that I did not take that moment to actually, you know, give Miss Casey the opportunity to really teach me. I loved math. Now, I'm terrible at it right now, but I had a teacher named Greg Mason in high school who's amazing. Anita Diesterhoff, who's amazing. My superintendent taught me freshman. You know, it's a small school. You were there.
Sure.
Taught me freshman algebra. So I really, really loved algebra. But there's something, Mr. Murphy, and I want to ask you this. Did you not try something in school that you wish you would have? Like me, I wish I would have tried theater.
No, I did.
I think I would have been good at that. But I was so embarrassed. I didn't want to tell anybody about it.
I never felt comfortable when you were young because, you know, I experimented a little. I was in theater singing community theater in a quartet and Bye Bye Birdie and a few things in Christmas. And I enjoyed those things. I never really fully got involved because I was embarrassed. And I'm going to tell you something. Those things were the things that brought me out of my shell. You know, I played football because I had a football body. Because that's what was expected of me. It's my family and who I was, and I love doing that.
Right.
But there were a lot of things. You know, I played soccer too. You said you were pretty good. I was too. At the end of the day, and football coaches and soccer coaches, you know, back in the olden days are like, oh, you know, no, I enjoy it all, and so I did a lot of things in high school.
That is one thing I'm telling you that I regret more than anything is not giving that a shot. Because I really wish I would have given theater a shot. All right, so let's talk about this real quick. As a player, what was the best game Mr. Murphy ever had as a player?
Oh, there's a couple. I mean,
man, let's hear it.
Yeah, when you played as long as I did.
Dang right.
There's a few highlights. But, you know, I think when I was a sophomore, I was playing an offensive guard as a sophomore. And we played Irving MacArthur, and we played
Dang right.
Brian Bosworth.
Oh, dang right.
Matt had a fabulous game. We had a game plan. Coaches, you know, we had assignments back then. And, you know, it didn't matter what my assignment was. I was going after Brian Bosworth because he was famous and I wasn't. And we won. And I got famous in the field house after the game. They were running the clicker back and forth. That was fun. And it was a lot of fun. And then, you know, I made a couple of goal line stands. I felt like I was always the guy when they got down there. I was lucky enough to make a tackle. So those things happened to me several times in my career.
Well, let's talk about Brian Bosworth for a second. You know, you and him have something in common, but that little dangly earring y'all used to wear.
Man, no, we're not supposed to talk about that out loud. No, you know, I get it. You know, I get things. You know, look, we're all not cut from the same mold, and we got to have a little compassion for each other. And I still believe I learned that in athletics. But, you know, back in the olden days, you know, my dad was really straight-laced. My uncle was really straight-laced.
Right.
Nobody ever wore an earring.
Right.
So, like, we were the first group going through there, and we wore the dangling. And, by the way, I wore that before Brian did. He just made it famous. So we were doing that. And, you know, we even evolved and got our numbers, and they were hanging.
Oh,
so that's back in the early 80s, you know.
Dang
so
right. That's
you saw
awesome,
some of that stuff. But I don't do it anymore just because I'm old.
You should. You should bring it back.
Yeah, that's what I need to wear to Region 10, huh?
Yeah, dang right. That would be awesome.
Yeah, man. Thanks for an encouragement.
You might get a little bit more street cred walking in there with a dangly earring. Well, all right. Let me ask you this question. Okay. You're on a trivia show. You can pick two people within the district to be on the show with you. Who are you picking? And you have to list one person you definitely would not pick.
Well, I know the first person would be Mr. Perez. I don't know if you know that dude, but he knows everything. He knows everything about geography. He knows like anything you ever want to imagine. He's that guy. And then my second pick, Dr. Rich is pretty sharp, Kim's got some good qualities. So I don't know, maybe Dr. Rich, but he's too competitive at times. I mean, I don't know if I could ever say too competitive, but like if we got really locked up in a game and he might like just throw his hand down if we got beat or something, if he didn't score a point. So it would be just too much pressure for all of us sitting up there and pressure cooker, on a game show. So I don't know. And who would I not choose?
Yeah, you have to pick somebody you would not choose.
Oh, that kind of feels cruel.
Oh, this one's easy for me, Mr. Murphy.
Well, who would you? Come on, help me.
I'm going to be honest with you. I would probably pick Duke.
Matt, thanks for pointing that out.
Not that Duke isn't brilliant. Duke is brilliant. See, I thought about this. What would I pick? Is it Jerry Warden or Duke would be my picks because, and the reason I say that is I think they're both brilliant in their arena.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you're asking about if I ask Duke about, Mr. Murphy, he doesn't, I have to check him and show him how to send text and check his email. And, he was coaching with us in the spring and I'd have to show him how to watch film on Huddle and whatnot. So I would be kind of nervous about some modern questions with
No
Duke.
doubt. You know what? I'm glad I let you speak first, but I'm going to concur. Duke, we have email. And we ask him to stay off because he'll send the whole, you'll send him a message and he'll respond to the whole district. And I'm like, Duke, that was a one-on-one request. Why are you doing that? He has no idea what just happened. Or he'll send an email to you asking a question and it's to the whole district with your CC. And I'm like, Duke, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. He did that this week. And then, oh my gosh, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday and he's already done it. Oh my goodness. But 100% Duke and maybe Jerry. I'll tell you the two people I would pick. First and foremost, Mr. Murphy, I got to pick my wife. Mr. Murphy, my wife's a huge nerd, huge dork. Seriously, Mr. Murphy, she sat my family down this weekend and we were talking about stuff and she brought up dark matter and she wanted to discuss dark matter.
She went there and just kept on talking.
You're like, seriously?
Okay.
So me and my three boys are on the same intelligence level and my wife's on a different level and she's talking about dark matter and we're like, oh my gosh, you're embarrassing us and nobody's around. The next person I would pick, I really thought about this one too. I think maybe Miss Aston, she comes off like she knows a lot, but there's Senior G over there. There's a lot of people. I would have to do a game contest to see who would be that number two person. But yes, Duke, the real question, Mr. Murphy, is who you wouldn't pick.
Yeah. Well,
so mine would probably Duke.
And the truth is we can say Duke and it's not going to hurt his feelings.
No,
if we said somebody else, I was worried if I said who some of the people, they might get their feelings hurt. No, I don't. We can't be divisive. So Duke is a good guy to pick on. He knows we love him.
Well, I want to thank Mr. Murphy today for spending some time with us on this podcast. Mr. Murphy, is there anything that you would like to add or any final thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners before we conclude?
No, but it's been a joy. And this facility that we have here has been fun. We dreamed it and we made it happen and it was fun. And, I want the community to know that we're always listening. And, people come in and they have something that's bothering them. And we really work to try to work those things out and broker deals. We're not an opponent to anybody, Melissa. Except for you can line up on us, against us in some Ohio sport. But when it comes to our people, we love them, and we really work with a passion around here, and we're so blessed. And our facilities, that's just one piece. And I'm going to say this.
Absolutely.
I don't apologize for any of the facilities we bought, the stadium, the auditorium, the championship center, because we only get to do this once.
Right.
And this is Melissa's time. So why would we want to do something for our kids second rate? Why wouldn't we pony up during this time, in this moment? And I'm telling you something, I'm blessed to be a part of establishing a footprint of a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful community.
Right. Absolutely.
So I thank people for their commitment to our kids.
Dang right. Well, I want to thank you for listening to the Dang Right podcast with Coach Nally. Thank you to our guest, Mr. Murphy, and thank you again to Mr. Kramen and his students for putting on this podcast. Have a great week, and it's always a great day to be a part.